Coach, what did you see there down the stretch that prevented you guys from overcoming that late deficit?
I really think it doesn't come down to just that moment. I think it comes down to our ability to, we got to the free throw line, but we've got to capitalize on those. You miss 11 free throws in a game, it's hard to overcome that. I thought we did a heck of a job competing and battling and fighting to get back, but you got to give Utah a ton of credit. They got physical down the stretch, a couple big rebounds. I think that was a big portion of the game.
How tough is it when the last market is getting downhill and also Kessler is battling on the glass?
They were tough. They were very physical, very aggressive. I thought we did a decent job early, but then we have to continue to finish possessions off. When you make a team miss, you got to do a heck of a job getting in there and rebounding the basketball.
The Jazz, they had a strong offensive starts to the first and third quarters. Just what were you seeing out there that allowed them to do that?
What's that? Can you repeat that?
The Jazz had a strong offensive starts to the first and third quarter. What were you seeing out there that allowed them to do that?
I'm going to have to go back and look at the film when it comes to that. Things were happening very fast for them. They were getting downhill. Obviously, a couple matchup situations, us not being able to move the basketball, so it played right into what they wanted to do.
Coach, obviously, Batadze out there, he was actually a pretty good force on the offensive glass. Caught about 3 offensive rebounds there. So heading down the stretch, when they were battling really hard on the glass, what sort of went down in the mindset to have him sit out in that crunch time when it seemed like he was providing some good help, some valuable help on the glass, which led to that Walker-Kessler putback?
That's a really good one. A big portion of that was the fact that, he did a great job rebounding the basketball for us, and then their way they were matched up, playing the matchup with Kessler on Kell, our advantage was a lot of speed and being able to play with a faster pace down the stretch because we were down, trying to get back into it with pace.
Obviously, it's a 48-minute game. It's not just about the last 2 minutes. How do you stress, some of those plays adding up throughout the course of the game? It seemed like there was, maybe a guy out of position going for a steal that maybe gets a deflection on, but it bounces right back to Utah player, or, missing the take foul free throw or missing free throws throughout the course of the game. How does all that add up, and how do you stress that every moment in a game matters?
Well, that's what we communicated, and we talk about the possession battle and knowing that it's one play here, one play there, one person does it, the next person, it just compounds. So we got to make sure that we're solid. You want to get a shot every possession, and then defensively, you want to finish possessions off. But again, it goes back to, you miss 11 free throws in a tight game. That's tough to overcome.
Went back to the Paolo we talked about this a little bit pregame, but going to the Paolo at center lineups, what exactly are you, looking for out of those units, compared to other units that you may put out there?
Well, just being able to create a different type of mismatch for different guys, depending on where they put their center and how they want to line it up. And he creates a problem because now, you have an inverted pick and roll where he's handling and the center's guarding him, and now you got a guard setting it. So just different variations of the way in which we can manipulate, what their defense is doing.
I know it's only been a small sample, but how in the sample you do have evaluating that balance between, having maybe the speed and mismatch advantage, but also the size advantage. Like you mentioned, Walker-Kessler getting that rebound over, smaller guys in that situation.
I think, we'll keep evaluating it and looking at it and see exactly, how that looks in certain situations and different portions of the game.
Paolo got off to a relatively slow start. I think he had 8 points in the first half, maybe. Ended with 26. What kind of adjustments did he make to get, some more shots in the second half, a little bit more aggressive there?
Well, I thought it was just the quicker, easier decisions. Not trying to survey what the defense was doing. I think he recognized what they were doing early. They were loading up to the basketball quickly. So as he started to make quick decisions, quicker reads, it allowed him to be aggressive and just get downhill. And then as they started to back up, he was able to step into his shot.
Coach, this is the 16th loss you guys have had by 7 or less. What does that say about your team?
Well, it's a combination of things. Our resiliency to be able to continue to fight no matter what's going on, whether we're down, but then the ability to, it's a great learning lesson to figure out how we can get over the hump in these situations as well. These are great end-of-game situations that we'll have to just continue to learn and teach so they continue to understand how we can improve.
third straight game giving up 120 or more points. Obviously Wendell not being in there hurts a lot. But what do you need to see from this defense to kind of get that back under control? Because the team's scoring enough points to stay in these games and give themselves a chance to win, but just not able to get the stops consistently.
It's finishing possessions off. I think that's a big portion of it. Challenging our guards as well to get in there and help rebound. But again, you give a team second chance points. I think that's where it becomes the problem. The past couple games, it's been the fouls. So I think we did a better job there tonight, being able to defend without fouling. So that's a positive. But just looking at it going forward, just finishing possessions off and defending without fouling, we just got to put it together.
Thank you, Coach Mose.
Thank you, guys.
Markelle, down the stretch, obviously Utah was able to score, especially going downhill. What did you see defensively in those last several minutes?
You talking about defensively for us? I think just communication. I think they did make some tough shots down the stretch, but offensive rebounds as well killed us at the end. A few fouls, but you got to tip your hat off to Laurie. He made a tough bucket. I think Dunn had a few tough buckets down in the fourth, but we tried to guard up, straight and, follow the game plan, and they made some tough shots. And then one of those was an offensive rebound that led to an one that was, was tough. But I think we did, for the most part, we did a pretty good job of just trying to guard the yard and help each other out.
Offensively, both of you did a good job tonight. The trust you have in one another, maybe both can answer, but especially in those close moments, you guys seem to feed off each other really well. What's the trust factor with both of you guys?
For me, I believe in the work. I see the work he puts in, and all our guys as well. But I know, he lives for those moments. Both of us, we put in the work. We believe in each other. But really just finding a mismatch and understanding, when it's time to get a bucket, when it's time to draw a foul, and knowing that we need to get a bucket down the stretch. And, again, it's something that's going to continue to build. But just seeing the work that he puts in, just believing in that.
Yeah, I'll say the same thing. I think, especially in those close moments, we just keep great communication on the floor, telling each other what we see, where we can attack, where we can create the advantage. And, like he said, he works his butt off as well. And I know he's not afraid, so when you have full trust in a teammate and he has full trust in you, you don't even think about it. You don't think about throwing him the ball or, a lot of that stuff is just our instincts taking over. I think it's a trust factor that we're building and we're going to continue to build.
Paolo, you specifically, you really had it going there from the three-point line. Also, you too, Markelle, with that step back, that was really nice. You guys actually shot pretty good from the three-point line, all things considered, as a team, 47%. What was it like taking those threes? You guys felt a little better than you have than in the past few games, just shooting from behind the arc. You felt like you guys were going a little more?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, we made a lot of threes, but then, I missed, a lot of free throws. I think we missed 12 as a team. I missed like 5. So, you happy that you got the 3-ball going, but then, free throws would have won us the game if we were able to knock them all down. So, but nah, teams is, a lot of teams is trying to stop us from getting in the paint and, stop us from driving. So 3-ball's there a lot of the time, and you just got to take it with confidence.
Coach mentioned that a lot of the discussion was about making those free throws, kind of those little plays that add up throughout the course of the game. Do you guys kind of note that after the game, or how do you kind of make sure that you're playing with the same kind of intensity and focus throughout the whole game to win some of those 50-50 balls, to make some of those free throws and make some of those plays throughout?
I think it's effort. I think us being starters, we got to start off better. But to say that, I think our second unit did a good job of getting us back in the game. But I think it just, having recognition of the game. And I don't think everybody's trying to do it, obviously. But obviously, if one guy comes down and does it, and then another guy comes down, those are what coaches talk about, and then it adds up. So just having a recognition of, time to score and time to play, when we come down and have 1 or 2 turnovers, making sure we get a good shot. And I think that's on all of us, not just me as a point guard, but, everybody just understanding that, maybe it wasn't me that had the turnover, but a guy just had a turnover, and realizing that and understanding that we got to get a good shot.
Paolo and Markelle, both you guys really thrive getting downhill, getting to the cup. How difficult is that against a guy like Walker Kessler and the big bodies like Lauri Markkanen and Kelly Olynyk as well?
Yeah, it's hard. the first couple minutes, we kind of looked at each other like, yo, Kessler going to get everything. You know, we got to be, you got to be wary. You know, he's peeling off, just going to, and he got great timing. So it definitely makes it harder. I think what Coach was telling us, instead of just trying to attack off the, first catch or first action, we got to move it, get Kessler moving, get him moving his feet around, all over the floor, and then trying to find a lane to attack. So, but no, I mean, like you said, having those 3, 7-foot plus guys out there, it makes it hard. But you got to find a way around. So.
Paolo and Markelle, for both of you guys, the third consecutive game where the defense just hasn't been to your standard. What are you guys seeing out there that needs to turn around to get back to where it's before?
I think the biggest thing, just communication. We're playing, different guys out there, different lineups, and, they did a good job. I think we were 1 through 4, but a lot of it's just a mental lapse on us on communication and, really the turnovers that gets them going sometimes. And I think it's just a communication thing. I think we have the right mindset as far as effort and everything like that, but we just got to continue to talk to each other and continue to have each other's back and trust that we're going to have each other's back, and everything else will be fine.
And kind of following up, Markelle, you mentioned just the different lineups you guys are trying out. We talked about earlier the 3-guard lineups. Paolo, there's been lineups where you've been the lone big man, the center. Just what are those experiments like? What have they been like, Paolo, for you to be the lone big man in certain lineups?
Yeah, I think it's been good. I actually kind of like it, because a lot of times, I got a mismatch and a guy who I can usually beat. But no, I mean, it's just giving us different looks, seeing what works. Now we got a couple guys out. Wendell, he's a key piece, and we miss him a lot. So, we're just trying to find, the right lineup, especially down the stretch, trying to find, what's going to be the best to finish the game with, when you got players out. But not for me, it's new, but, I'm adjusting, and, I mean, it doesn't really change much for me. It's just a different matchup, in terms of who I'm guarding and who's guarding me. But I think the way I'm playing stays the same, so.